another 9 games on Friday. So we're going to preview them, talk about what we need to talk about, who are the streaming options, who's in and who's out, and unfortunately one of those players that's out is Victor Wembanyama. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and Cerveza Cristal. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Also, lockedondaily.com. Check it out. The best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. It's delivered to you free in your inbox 5 days a week. Also, double banging. That is a great way to spend your time. Listening to the audio side of this, watching the video, commenting and thumbing up on all those, subscribing, telling your mates, of course. Let's talk about Friday, another 9 games on. It is World Kombucha Day. So if you like a bit of the booch, well, it's your day. Crack open a fresh one, knock the top off it, and enjoy it. We're here to talk about those games, though, 9 of them on. Let's check what we're watching for in those games. I think probably starting next week, the structure of these daily streaming shows will be a little bit different because we are going to be 1 week away from the beginning of the playoffs for my recommended schedule. 3 weeks away from Yahoo, 2 weeks away from other weeks, but we're there. And I'm going to start digging into more of the streaming of like individual categories, big man stats, efficiency stats, guard, however you want to look at it, right? Versus like overall streaming longer term things. Because our focus has to narrow. We have to start looking at versus what's happening right now. That's what we need to look at. What's happening now? The short term stuff versus, maybe a stash for 3 weeks, 4 weeks time. Because for a lot of us, that doesn't matter. And of course, all of your individual circumstances will be different. Your leagues will all have different dates. Your roto leagues will not have a playoff. But I think we'll start to transition into that a little bit more in these shows as we move forward. I believe that's what I'm going to do. I haven't fully decided. That's why I say it that way. First game up. It is the Bucks. It is the Washington Wizards. We're in Washington for this game. It is a Schedule Plus spot for Washington. That just means over the next 6 days, they've got a really positive schedule. In terms of who is out, we know that Bobby Portis is out for 25 games. Bobby Portis is just, you don't roster him. Obviously now, he was already been on my drop list for a bit, but that's an easy drop. He's out. This is a back-to-back for Milwaukee. And at the time of me currently recording this, for Thursday's game, both Giannis and Dame are questionable. Now, Dame had his calf issue pre-All-Star. Lillard, not Dame, that is Dame. Yanni also had a calf injury that cost him many, many games. I would be incredibly surprised if both of these players played in this game against the Wizards, especially if they play on Thursday. If Giannis and Dame play on Thursday, just rule them out. It's against the Wizards, and they're both old and coming off injuries, especially Giannis. Even if they don't play, especially Giannis, even if Giannis does not play Thursday, I would not expect him to play in this game, but I don't know. Andre Jackson still listed questionable on Thursday as well. He doesn't matter that much. He'll just open up some extra minutes. For the Wizards, Malcolm Brogdon, he was doubtful, but now he has been ruled out, so that's good to know. I would love to be able to get some sort of understanding on what the Wizards are doing with any of these moves, but Brogdon is out. But interestingly now, I had them listed as probable, Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton. They're not on the injury report, so for some reason they are going to play. For how long, I don't know, but your Bilals and Keyshawn's and Bubs, they're about to get decked. So, yeah, we just need to watch that. Justin Champagnie also had a post-traumatic head injury prior to the break. He is off the injury report, so he's ready to go. And the only one there is, let's get it on Gilly legend Anthony Gill, who is questionable. That doesn't matter that much. What are we watching on the Wizards? Let's get the Bucks as a back-to-back. On the Wizards, it is what happens with Bub, what happens with Bilal. Honestly, if they're playing Middleton and Smart, Bilal's not even really putting up numbers now. Keyshawn George and Bub Carrington haven't really seen gigantic usage spikes. I don't know how long this lasts, but we are getting to the stage if you've got to wait for their Middleton and Smart to be shut down for these guys to step up again. It might not be worth it. It might not be worth it. Also, I don't think you need to roster Middleton, and I don't think you need to roster Smart. You might, but I'm very skeptical about how much they actually play, how much they do. I don't think that we need to do that. Stream guys, it is probably the artist formerly known as the amino acid legend Torian Prince, and then there is Keyshawn George on the Wizards, but it could be Bub, it could be Bilal. Rashawn Holmes, for some reason, was the backup center. Do they go back to Tristan Vukcevic in this game? I don't know. The Wizards are going to be a complete, what's the word I'm looking for? Mystery. Or shit show, either way. Let's take a look at the next game. Second game up. Grizzlies, Magic, both of these teams. Interestingly, on Friday, all of the early games basically involved teams on back-to-backs. And both Memphis and Orlando play on Thursday. So we don't really know a huge amount here. Johnny Davis is listed out for Thursday. He's listed as not with team. Okay, just cut him. Why is he on the team? Why is he there? You're not going to play him. Just cut him. Marvin Bagley is allegedly, again, why would they play him? I don't know, but he's off the injury report for Thursday. But given he's coming back from a nondescript knee sprain, I'd be very surprised if Bagley actually suited up on Thursday and then played Friday as well. So I don't think Bagley plays Friday, even though he could play Thursday. Vince Williams, it's a back-to-back. He missed the last game before the All-Star break. I'll put him questionable whether he plays his back-to-back or not. I should just permanently list Ja Morant as questionable because it seems to be the case, even though he's available on Thursday. Jalen Suggs is out Thursday. They said he's only doing limited running. There's no way he's playing on Friday, surely. Surely he's not. At some point he's coming back, I guess. But I don't know. Who am I streaming? Not great options, I'll be fair. Brandon Clark in Memphis, we look at that one. In Orlando, there's a bunch of guards. You could look at Cole Anthony. You could look at Mr. Black. You could look at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And I'm not sure I'm going to fault you on either of them or any of them, but I'm not sure I'm going to feel excited about any of them either. They're fine. They're not great. The next game also involves a pair of back-to-backs. It's the Knicks. It's the Cavs. Both these teams play Thursday. Both play Friday. The Cavs are 6-point favorites here. Josh Hart is out on Thursday. I'll put him questionable here. I said this on my mailbag show earlier today. People are like, man, it must be really bad if Josh Hart misses it. And I will, again, I'm not telling you that Josh Hart is soft or anything like that, but he's played 70 games twice in his career. He's not this hard man who plays through everything and is never hurt because, again, it's just called being hurt. Like, that just is what happens. So, I don't know whether he's going to play. OG is still questionable, the Jedi, for Thursday. If Anunoby plays on Thursday, I'd be relatively surprised if he plays on Friday, but I don't know. And Mitchell Robinson's out Thursday. They're saying that he's practicing, so maybe he plays on Friday. And no, I would not bother rostering Mitchell Robinson in 12-team leagues. Not at all. Nah, not a chance that I would care about that. For the Cavs, Dean Wade is out Thursday. They're saying that he probably will play in this game, so we'll keep him there. Isaac Okoro and Ty Jerome, no idea whether they're going to be available or not, but obviously if all of those guys are available, then your Hunters and Strucers and even like individually like Jerome, who sometimes has value, there's just too much squishing going on in that spot. What are we streaming in? Juice McBride or Precious Achiuwa, maybe. You could have the situation where both OG and Hart play, or both OG and Hart are in. And if Robinson plays, then Achiuwa has just like really very limited value. But you could also have a spot where Robinson, Anunoby, and Hart are all out, where McBride and Achiuwa's value goes right up. So there's some interesting stream guys there. And Strus is probably the Cavs guy. Not much more than a stream option at this point, though. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. And NBA fans, the NBA is back. You're going to get ready because they swoosh and you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. They score 50, easy done. During the regular season, of course. Dash Pass members will get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. So if someone drops 50 on Thursday, well, on Friday, you've got that 12-hour period to place your Dash Pass order. Whatever it is, lunch, snacks, big burgers, big pizza to slam into your mouth. All that stuff is there. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. You just use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right. We've done 3 games there. Let's get on to the 4th game of the day. We're talking about the Miami Heat. Yeah, your mates up against my mates, the Toronto Raptors, up in Toronto. It's a Schedule Plus spot for both of these teams. Kevin Love is out for personal reasons. I hope Kevin's okay. Kevin Love has bravely detailed his mental health battles over the years. He's obviously winding towards the end of his career. He has missed many, many, many games this season for personal reasons. And it appeared over the All-Star break, he was, as the kids would say, crashing out a little bit. Just throwing shade all over the place at players and teams and Angel Reese and whatever. I don't know what was going on with him. I hope he's okay. Kevin, I hope you're all right. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. It doesn't matter for our fantasy purposes. Tyler Hero. He played in the All-Star weekend. Obviously, he won the 3-point contest. He's listed probably with shoulder soreness. I think we're going to be okay there. Ulrich Chomsky, who I thought would play a game for the Raptors. I thought he would start a game for the Raptors at some point this season. That prediction is done. It's dead. It's dusted. He's out for the season. Oh, no. There you go. Jakob Poeltl is also out. We have heard, tank washing from the Raptors? Talking to Darko, asking Scotty, we don't give a damn about no draft pick. We're going to play hard. No, we're definitely not focused on that. They forget that Jakob Poeltl said this. He said it at the start of the season. Our focus is not on winning. He said it, right? Remember that. So when you hear Scotty Barnes come out, we're going to be trying hard. I know you are, Scotty. You will be trying hard. I don't doubt that for a second. But it's been said already. And yes, okay? Just be cautious about believing that sort of stuff. Yep. Anyway, Poeltl is out. Ingram is out. Ingram, I don't believe, is playing this season. I'd be incredibly shocked if we see Ingram play this season. Poeltl's debatable. In a points league, his value is not as good as in a category league. So in a points league, you might just have to move on because I just don't know what's happening here. For the Heat, what do I want to watch? Superman. Kel'el Ware. Because the last couple of games for Ware have not been particularly good. The Wiggins edition is there. Now, this time off does give teams a chance to sit down and figure, what do we want to do? Because it is going to be hard for Wiggins to get Kyle Anderson to play. Little Chungus Nikola Jovic. Does Rookie of the Year Jaime Jaquez get any playing time? How does Ware play? How much does he play? If Kel'el Ware plays 22 minutes a night as a starter, see you later. We want to watch it. For the Raptors, Emmanuel Quickley. I still see people like, I'm debating dropping Quickley. People treat Emmanuel Quickley at the moment like he's the 120th best player, and that's the sort of value. He's like, but I hold him, I stream him. I don't view him that way. I know it hasn't been a good year. There's been a lot of injuries, but I'm not viewing him as this like expendable sort of a player where I can just be like, whatever. Is he worth it? Nah, maybe not. Like, people classify him in a similar way to they would classify Nikola Jovic, which I don't agree with. Streams. Jovic is probably the stream on the Heat, but it could be Anderson or Rozier or Alec Burks or any of those sort of guys. They mix and match a lot. Davion Mitchell also for deepers. And then Johnny Mobo is honestly probably worth grabbing at the moment. I don't know what's going to happen with this team and with Jakob Poeltl. They're going to tank. I don't know what's going to happen exactly each game short term from here on out, but Mobo's starting. He's going to keep starting. And that is interesting for us because there's at least a marginal grab value there. I don't know why my voice cracked so bad there. Dallas. They're hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. This is a obviously injured situation. The Mavericks are 6-point favorites. Yves Missi is going to be out for the Pelicans with this knee injury. We don't really have a super firm timetable on an expected return, but yeah, he's out at this point. Then BJ Boston signed his two-way deal. Signed off his two-way deal, full-time contract, so he doesn't have game limits anymore. With Missi being out, with Javonte Green being waived, if they do not play the same position, Green plays the 4, Boston plays the 1-2, but there is some value there. I wouldn't grab BJ in 12-teamers. I don't think that's going to be useful, but we'll see. And then Kelly Olynyk has not played for this team yet. He hasn't joined the team prior to the All-Star break. I don't know if he's joined it now. I wouldn't be bothered with him, so I'll put him questionable at this stage, and Jamal Cain as well. Zion sat the last game. That was a back-to-back. I fully expect that Zion plays here. And then for the Mavericks, Davis out, Gafford out, Lively out, Caleb Martin out, Dwight Powell doubtful. They gave us a date in 2 weeks' time, saying they're providing reevaluation updates on all of the bigs. It's very convenient, isn't it, that all of the bigs happen to have the reevaluation happen at the same time. Gafford, Lively, Davis, all at the same time. And every quote that comes out, you hear it, and on the surface, you go, it's got reevaluated 2 weeks. That's good. And then, like, the Jason Kidd throws in there, and then I guess, we don't really know if he's avoided surgery. I guess we'll find out in 2 weeks. Can you just give him the surgery? What are you doing? While it sounds great, and it is, and the fact that I will see people, and there's nothing blaming you about this if this is you, we'll see that go, man, that's such great news, reevaluate in 2 weeks. Oh, man, yeah, what a relief. Let's go. The reason they tell you reevaluated in 2 weeks is so they create a positive vibe around the team, which the vibes, they're dreadful. It's the worst vibes you could possibly see around this squad. Because imagine they came out and said, yeah, Davis is having surgery. We got him for 3 quarters after trading away Luka Doncic and he's out for the year. Imagine what that would be like. I think they're just going to keep stringing along and along and along. That's my guess. That's conspiracy Josh. I don't know if he's not a real person, conspiracy Josh, but maybe that's the conspiracy, whether he exists at all. But the 2-week reevaluation that all of them happen to fall on the same day. Wow. And they don't know anything at all. I was as shocked as you about the trade. Oh, no. Yeah? We'll see. Anyway, they're all out here. And PJ Washington is questionable. I do want to watch BJ. Just my search history will tell you that. But also, in the game, what does Boston do? How do they use Boston or Hawkins or Kane or Jose or Carlo? I think Makovic is going to start and he's just a guy we roster anyway. But there's a few rotational decisions that need to be made. And then for the Mavs, yeah, they're signing the C part of Moses Brown. I will be, from my understanding, now I am like 90% sure on this, they're signing Moses Brown to a 10-day contract. Given their apron/cap status, I don't believe they can sign him to a second one, and I don't believe that they can sign him to a full-time contract until maybe I think you hit the end of March. And then the numbers that are left on that contract become able to fit under the apron. So while we might look at this and go, well, they've got no other centers. Moses Brown, he's terrible, but he pulls down big rebounds and good field goal. And that is true. That's all true. But do you get 3 games out of him? Do you get 5 games out of him? Does Jason Kidd watch him and go, I'd rather just go small and play Najee Marshall at center? It's possible. I don't mind a stream of Moses Brown. I'm just going to be very skeptical about how it all lasts. In terms of streams, well, Alvarado and Makovic, very good. They're just guys to grab in New Orleans. And then Najee Marshall, or you could look at Kessler Edwards, but remembering if PJ Washington plays, and Kyrie and Clay, who are all off the injury report and missed those games before the All-Star break, they're all likely going to return here. Oh, they're all off the injury report, so they're going to return. Kelly Olynyk is... he's back. He's available to play. There you go. We just got that update. And Yves Missi, who was... he's questionable, is he? Oh, sick. So... absolutely incorrect information given by them. Well done. So that is going to hurt Makovic in that spot. That's interesting. Okay. Well, there you go. So Missi's playing. What a great injury update they gave us on that. So Olynyk is available. Missi is available. All right. That means there's extra focus in this game. But back to the Mavs, like Kessler Edwards and Olivier Maxence Prosper, do the 240 game. It's really hard to find enough minutes if PJ Washington plays to get those guys into a large enough role to matter for most of us. The next one, the Pistons and the Spurs. This is the back-to-back here for San Antonio. It's a scheduled plus spot for both teams. I, for some reason, left that Dallas is 3.5-point favorites there. Doesn't matter, they don't play. What we do know is that Victor Wembanyama is out for the season. Unfortunately, obviously, and Charles Bassey is out. So their center rotation consists of small ball of Jeremy Sohan or Sandro Mamukelashvili. We don't really know exactly which direction they're going to go. They will have to play small ball. Now, unless this changes, at the moment, they do not have Bismack Biyombo available. They could sign him. They had him on a 10-day that's expired. They could bring him back. I don't know, but he's Bismack Biyombo, man. We'll see. If he plays and he plays 25 minutes, you'd consider him. But at this point, I don't think we're there. What do I want to watch for the Pistons? Asar Thompson, who was starting to really play well, but what they had changed with him is they'd given him more ball handling responsibilities. So that's going to be something to just pay some attention to there. And then the stream guys, Isaiah Stewart for the Pistons, and then it is Mamu for the Spurs. But I think Sohan, Castle, and Mamu are all 12-team options now. It's a little dice roll, and I think Mamu would lose value if Bassey returns, but that's a huge if. And I would love for them to give 33 minutes to Sohan, but I'm not convinced they want to go that small all the time. We will, of course, we will find out as all these games progress. The next game is a very, very interesting one that could determine quite a bit here, I think. Or maybe not. Thunder Jazz. And I say that without any sarcasm. Because the Thunder are 15.5-point favorites. Right? They're going to kill them. We know this. The schedule plus for both of these teams is there. But what I want to know is, what did the Jazz do? In terms of injuries, AJ Mitchell is out. Usman Jeng was on the injury report. I did just get an updated injury report here. So Alex Caruso, the Hong Kong Mattress, Carson Wallace, and Usman Jeng are all off the injury report. What I don't have is the Jazz injury report. And pre-All-Star break, Walker Kessler and Jordan Clarkson sat out the last game. It was a back-to-back, and somehow Markkanen and Collins both played. And KJ Martin hasn't played for the team, and we could have a return of Colin Sexton. All of that could happen. But, of course, we don't know. And Sexton, Martin, Clarkson, Kessler all coming back in would shake this rotation up a lot. But what do? This is a back-to-back for Utah, first for back-to-back. I really doubt first game after the break they're going to full shenanigan. But if they do, then buckle up. That's what I want to see. How do they run this rotation? In a game they're going to get cooked, do they play half minutes for guys? Do guys sit? We want to see. For the Thunder, what am I watching? Aaron Wiggins, who I just, again, no business on a 12-team roster. Don't hold him, don't do it. But maybe he proves me wrong. We'll see. And then Keontae George on the Jazz. How it all fits if Sexton and Clarkson are there and Collier still starts. Can he still play 33 minutes? How do they run this now? In terms of streams, Lou Dort is probably the guy. I put Kyle Filipowski there because Collier and George have been rostered in enough spots. Filipowski is very interesting if they just clear out and let him start. But they're not quite doing that. But if they do, well, then we're into it. Next game we're talking about is Minnesota and Houston. This is an intriguing game for a number of reasons. It's a scheduled plus spot for Houston. Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo are out. Both guys are back doing some work in practice. Randle is practicing and DiVincenzo is not fully there. So Randle could be back soon, but not all the way back. And he's got no timetable still, Randle. And I think DiVincenzo is a little bit further away. He's not doing any contact work. So we're still talking a week to 2 weeks at least for these guys now to return. Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, they missed the last game pre-All-Star break. Interestingly, they both listed them questionable for this one, which seems like they're trying to just reduce the ire from the NBA. Because, actually, Edwards is different. No, my bad on that. Let me go Gobert. Gobert, low back spasms. He had back spasms on the game before the break and now still here on Friday. Not sure about that. Edwards is listed questionable because he didn't play the All-Star game. And I'm pretty sure they listed him questionable because he didn't play the All-Star game. Because he sat out with his groin soreness thing. All right? So we will see how that goes, but they're listed questionable. And then for the Rockets, well, Fred VanVleet and Jabari Smith could easily return. Tari Eason rested the last game, second of a back-to-back before the break. I think he plays this one, but maybe sits on Saturday. But we are going to see, I think, how the full rotation looks, and it will be incredibly interesting what it does for Eason's minutes, who I think could be a drop, and in particular, what happens with Smith versus Amen Thompson. And that's what I want to watch, Amen Thompson. 38 minutes for him is great. But does he play 31 now? Does he play 26? Probably not, but I don't know. Mike Conley on the Wolves as well is something I want to watch because 30 minutes of Mike is probably 12s. But we also saw some, he's been out of games. He's missed some time. We also saw someone like Terrence Shannon play really well. And a moment there from Jalen Clark and Rob Dillingham getting minutes. So we'll see how Finch wants to use that. In terms of streams, Alexander Walker's been playing 30 minutes a night. Not sure he will here, but he's probably the best stream guy. And then on Houston, it's nearly always going to be Dylan Brooks. We've got one more game to talk about. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on all that NBA action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You can place live bets all throughout the game. So even if you miss the live opening, if you just miss the opening tip-off of a game in the NBA, well, you can place these live bets as it all goes along, and you can even combine those live bets into a same-game parlay for bigger payouts. Whatever you think is going to happen, at halftime, you might run reassess and go, what's the live line here? Who do you think is going to win? Is it a big comeback? Is the other team going to steamroll them? You can do all that as the game is going on. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, let's go on to this final game of the day. It is the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. This is the Kings' one and only game this week. They're the only team with one game this week. And this is it. They're 2-point underdogs against the Warriors at home. The Kings, kissed on the dick legends, have 0 injuries. John Kuminga is back doing some practice work, but he's not going to play here. I put him doubtful. He's not going to play. And then Gary Payton was a late scratch in the previous game before the break. I'll put him probable, but I just don't know. For the Warriors, we know that Brandon Podziemski is starting for the foreseeable future. We'll see whether that foreseeable future lasted one game, whether it holds here, I don't know. He is worth rostering at this stage. And then for the Kings, do they play Markel Fultz at all? Because he was available last time and didn't play. He's on the roster. And then if he does play, what does it mean for Keon Ellis, or for Trey Lyles, or for Jake LaRavia, or for Malik Monk, or for Keegan Murray? We'll see. Moses Moody is the stream guy for the Warriors. I think he will continue to start. And then Keon Ellis is the stream guy for the Kings. But who knows? Last game, Doug Christie, in all of his brilliance, decided to lean into playing 37 minutes of all the big names. Ellis played 21 and didn't do anything. And against the Warriors, they're local-ish rivals. Do they just lean into big Sabonis, DeRozan, Murray minutes? Do they play as someone that makes more sense? Ellis is going to be worth holding and stream, but again, it's one game this week. And if they're continually going 26 to 21, that's not worth it. So we see, we wait and we find out. And we listen and we don't judge. All right, let's look at some schedule stuff. Are there any back-to-backs? Well, there are two of them, in fact. Two teams play the back-to-back Friday to Saturday, the Rockets and the Jazz. The Rockets one means Eason and Steven Adams probably sit the second game. The Jazz one is going to make it just interesting about how they approach all of this. Do they do anything on Thursday? Do they sit them on Friday? Do they sit them Saturday? Don't know. But they start things off with a back-to-back, and we get, if they play Collins and Markkanen again, I'll honestly just not know what to do. I'll be like, what do I make of this team? But we pay attention. Chunky stuff, next 5 days. Who's got 3 games that we can pay attention to? Well, Draymond Green is under 30% rostered on Yahoo now. I think he's worth having. I put Karlo Makovic there under the obviously false assumption that maybe Olynyk wouldn't play and that Misi would be out. But both of those things are wrong. So I still think Makovic is there, but I don't know. I've got Sandro Mamukashvili for the Spurs. I reserve the right to adjust this based on what happens on Thursday. But we just don't know how to approach this. And then there is Royce O'Neal, Keyshawn George, and Najee Marshall. Be aware that the Wizards, they might really take a bit of a torch to some of the value of the young guys by playing Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart. If we want to get into streaming, the streams of the day, which we do because that's what we're up to, I had Karlo Makovic as a 10-team stream guide because there was no Javonte Green and there was no Yves Misi. And there was probably no Kelly Olynyk. That's not right though, is it? Because those guys are available. So while I do have Karlo there, it's very risky. A 12-team have got Sandro Mamukashvili, but we get more information on that on Thursday, and we'll talk about that in the recap show later today. Moses Moody is a 14-team league guy, Johnny Mobo for 16-teamers, and then for Yahoo and ESPN points, I am going to lean into Jose Alvarado for both of those formats. If we go into that 10-team list, I've got Karlo at the top. The second name there is Jeremy Sohan, so I do like using Sohan and seeing where it goes. I really do think Sohan's an interesting player. Sometimes his fit with Wemby's a little bit off, but obviously Wemby's not there anymore, so we'll see what they do there. Mamu is there, Goga Badadze is there. That's a lot of Eastern European centers in that spot. Makovic, Mamukashvili, and Badadze, and even Sohan's technically an Eastern European center. And you've got Najee Marshall and Moses Moody as the other 10-team league options. For 12s, and again, just look at that first list as well. But we go to Johnny Mobo, Maxi Strus, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Mike Conley, Cole Anthony, and Taurean Prince. For deeper leagues, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Isaiah Stewart, Corey Kispert, Kevon Looney, Brandon Clark, and Dante Exum in Dallas. And then for points leagues, it is the same for Yahoo and ESPN. We're going to start it off with Jose Alvarado. We're going to head to Sandro Mamukashvili, Moses Moody, Najee Marshall, Karlo Makovic, and Cole Anthony. And that, legends, is the end of a preview show. It's a World Kombucha Day. It's a daily look ahead. It's a day, the next 2-3 days are going to be incredibly important in terms of trying to determine what happens in fantasy. That's why, you ready for a bit of like self-wankery? That's why you need to tune in to the best show you possibly can to give you all the info. Maybe not, but at least we'll try and have a laugh while we work out what's going on across this league where stuff happens and we just really don't know how it's all going to pan out a lot of the time. Hit the thumb, hit the subscribe, leave your comments down below, guys. We are done here. Keep the vibes up, keep the positivity up. Hey, and if you drafted Victor Wembanyama and now you're going, what do I do this season? Just keep plugging. Try and fill the gaps because you know what can happen tomorrow? Your opponent's best player might get hurt. The same as it happened to you, it can happen to somebody else. And if as long as you're there, just keep going. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.